Hello, and a very warm welcome to our second session in Ozone's Better Future series. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Craig Tucker. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at the Ozone Project. And today's session on effective measures of success in digital advertising is one that I feel really passionate about, and one that I've had countless positive discussions, all positive discussions about with our agency and advertiser customers since joining the Ozone Project. Those conversations are fueled largely in part by client recognition that success measures in digital advertising must move beyond the click and the viewability scores that have driven so much of our industry's growth. And alongside that, I don't think anyone, well, it'll be a brave soul to disagree with the fact that the single-minded view of all impressions being equal or only delivering that one action does a huge disservice to quality digital environments like those indeed that the Ozone Project represents versus the open web, the long tail of the internet. Last week, when thinking about the session, my attention was piqued particularly by a tweet from the legendary Liz Burnett, the man who's won more advertising effectiveness awards than anyone else. The tweet read, "Nobody needs ads, but they can be useful. Firms use them to increase sales, media owners use them to offer cheap content, governments use them to influence people without legal coercion. Ordinary people use them to buy and sell things, and activists use them to promote their causes." Les was replying to a question unconnected to this session about why we need ads, and I guess that's another story, but it was a great reminder of the uses of our craft to companies, institutions, individuals being presented with these different varying use cases. It's clear that a one-size-fits-all approach really to measuring campaign success is just not feasible. And that's why we wanted to bring you this session today and discuss some of the related initiatives that the team at Ozone are focused on. If you tuned into our last session about identity and addressability, you'll know that these sessions are designed to give a view of now and where we're currently at. But you can expect plenty of evolution as we discuss next steps with our clients. So on to our agenda for today and our discussion on effective measures of success for digital advertising. First up, we're going to have a short panel discussion that we actually recorded live in person. It was very exciting to physically be at an event with a couple of our clients, and the event was MadFest a week or so ago. I won't give too much away as there's a little intro coming up on that film, but needless to say, our speakers gave a really clear opinion on the need for change and of some options for doing so. Following that, our wonderful head of client services here at the Ozone Project, Emma Cranston, and myself will pop back on the screen to talk through a couple of initiatives that we're focused on delivering right now, including a really, really exciting launch. All being well, we should be done in around 40 minutes tops. So thank you in advance for your time. We really appreciate it. And so as they used to say in the old days, it's time to run VT. I'm really delighted to say that we've got two leading lights actually in the industry on our panel today. Really excited. They're fantastic and they're doing a lot both within their individual businesses to drive home this message that we need to do more and we need to maybe change the way that we define success in digital advertising and across the board actually. To my far left is Sophie Strong. She's the head of display and social at Wavemaker, and actually I'll mention something in a minute was critical to us launching what we're launching today as Ozone. Actually, a conversation I had with Sophie you'll be glad to hear. And then we've got Flora Williams, who's the head of implementational planning for OmniGOV, Manning Gottlieb OMD. And I'm delighted to say that thing we're launching today is our outcomes product. We went to press this morning with that product, and we're launching that first with Manning Gottlieb OMD. But Sophie and I had a conversation, and it's thanks to experts like Sophie's feedback that we actually launched that product as well in the first place. So I'm really happy that you're both here. Thank you. So let's dive in. It's a massive subject. We've not got long. I've probably used half of our time. I apologise. So is it farewell to ad tech metrics? Are they ad tech metrics anyway? Thoughts on that with the imminent departure of third-party cookies, dependent on when Google allows us all to say goodbye to third-party cookies. Some say they've served us well, some might say they've not done so. It's time to move on. Sophie, you've got some valuable insight around that.
So if you can't hear me, please shout. If you guys can't hear me, please also shout. Clicks, engagements, views, etc. They've all served us well, right? Particularly in the digital industry, because it's been a way we can indicate whether an ad is performing. And those metrics will probably still serve a purpose in whatever we do as kind of solutions develop, because they're real-time indicators. It's a real-time indicator that someone is interested and engaged with the ad that we're putting in front of them. The problem we have, and the problem we've had for some time, is that whilst these kind of new industry changes, which are coming into effect in 2023 or have already come into effect, kind of present a kind of reset moment, there's nothing really new there. It's just presenting more gaps in the data. And I think whilst those indicators have served us well, we just need to be really mindful that they shouldn't be the only indicators that we're using within our measurement kind of portfolio to inform whether something has been effective and really kind of caught someone's attention.
Yeah. I mean, it's often, click-through rate viewability is still important, right? But they're seen more as hygiene factors.
Exactly.
And we need to move to more meaningful metrics that actually affect the brand's health, business outcomes, those kind of things. And I think we instinctively know that, don't we? But it's doing something about it now.
Yeah, exactly.
What are some of the alternatives, in your opinion? So, thinking about outcome-based or the long and the short of it, the pros and cons to those things, what are some of the alternatives you're thinking about?
So I think the key thing for us, right, is it's about having the right tool for the right technique, which ultimately generates the right purpose. So we have something called the Calibrated Portfolio Wavemaker, which identifies the role of different measurement techniques, because actually there are different speeds of measurement, right? Our chief digital officer, Christian, told me this the other day, and it kind of really was a eureka click moment for me. There's your real-time diagnostics and then your longer-term measurement tactics. And your real-time, as I said just a moment ago, is the stuff that gives us that in the know immediately. We can start to kind of gather whether our creative is kind of doing what we need to do, which placement to optimize towards, which partner to work with more and kind of upweight. But then you need to deploy other measurement strategies, which are often the kind of forgotten parts of a measurement portfolio, and that's because they come at a cost often that is kind of substituted in favour of doing more kind of short-term outcome-based media buying, and that's things like your econometric, your brand list studies, etc. So I think it's really important to kind of realise that a lot of the kind of measurement techniques that we're going to be relying on more and more aren't new at all. It's just we're going to become more reliant on them in the future to really drive effective growth.
Yeah. There's a white paper recently called Rethinking Brands by Walk, and it's the Mudit from the global head of e-commerce at Wavemaker talks about brand bias and how attention is critical it's actually mission critical now for brands to drive brand bias and therefore increase mental availability. He contextualises that by saying when you consider buying a new mobile phone, you consider really on average 2.1 different brands when it comes to purchase. You consider for laptops 2.8 different brands on average when it comes to purchasing a new laptop. So it's now more important than ever for e-commerce and every category, I would say, to drive brand bias, mission critical actually, and that increases mental availability. And I think for that to happen, we need to look at some of those outcomes and ways of measuring attention, making sure we're in the right environment, working with the right partners that help us do that job. Because effectively, people that are going to buy your product, we're probably always going to buy your product. It's how do we fill our funnel with more like-minded customers. Flora, we're on the attention stage.
I'm glad you asked me a question. It was getting quite awkward.
We should have lined that up a little bit better. Sorry.
It's okay.
We're on the attention stage. Why do you think it's such a headline topic? Because you've got a really interesting point of view, very responsible position, the business that you're looking after.
Yeah.
Why is it such a headline topic and so important?
It's such a hygiene factor, I think. So if you think about all of the different adverts which you're bombarded with every single day, so it's said that it's over 500 adverts every day which you're bombarded with. You've only got so much time, mental capacity, and want to basically pay attention to any of those. And realistically, you're not going to pay attention to all of those. You choose for lots of different factors to pay attention or not, and that can dip in and out significantly. But really the interesting thing about attention is that it's moving from the potential to be viewable into a more like earned and active likelihood to be viewable, and there's like a difference between the two. And it's really important to try and cut out that stuff which isn't paid attention to, because ultimately it's not going to have an impact. There's loads of studies to say that long-term memory encoding is directly correlated to attention. So Karen Nelson-Field has said that per second of attention, active attention, 3 days of memory is created off the back of it. So that's huge, but active attention is therefore really important. So we need to make sure that we're optimizing towards it. And we were kind of saying earlier, actually, attention is almost so obvious. It's quite basic. We're like, how have we not been talking about this already? Like, this is shocking. But actually, we're in a good space. Like you said, it's the right time to really start pushing this, which is great.
Yeah, that's really interesting, the day's memory that's created. Last night's result created years of memory for me, I would say.
It was many seconds.
Yeah. do both of you, do clients care about it? Do brands really care about it? Or is it just a kind of nice to have something in the future to worry about? Are clients now actively saying, you know, we should be KPIing our media partners or success of these campaigns based upon things that are to do with attention, would you say?
It's a really mixed bag. I think the thing that I have noticed, right, is things like econometrics often are nice to have. And actually, when you look at how much we spend on ad serving, roughly it tends to come in around the 3 to 4% mark versus your kind of total media spend investment. And econometrics could be as little as 0.4% of your media spend. And econometrics is going to drive a huge amount of value in terms of understanding where you're going to get the most incremental growth from. And we've got some incredible kind of clients that we work with who are really taking the lead in that space, and they're using a range of different measurement solutions to kind of challenge how we're buying and how they're advertising, challenging the creative. And I think more and more now, as we're finding ourselves in the position where we're having to rethink what measurement looks like in a kind of cookieless era, it's going to become more and more important and prominent within kind of the way clients are kind of measuring the success of their advertising. Yeah. So I would say mixed.
I definitely a mixed bag from our side as well. I'm sure that we're both in the same boat there. From my experience, anyone who's very well versed in econometrics and measurement in the first place and set up, generally speaking, with separate departments who do have measurement kind of specialists, they seem to be identifying and pushing it. But there are also clients who are really receptive towards it, and there are other clients who might be asking a different question, but actually the answer to it is attention, and that was one of the answers anyway. And there are a lot of questions which are coming up at the moment, especially around digital measurement, which do start to lean into this a lot more.
Yeah. We don't often talk about creative either, how, you know, creative itself has a responsibility. You know, often I think digital can get a bad name. You know, the concerns around data privacy and things is absolutely right, but bad data can let down good creative, and good creative, you know, bad creative can let down good data. So, I mean, that's more important than ever, right, for getting that mix right.
It's hugely, hugely important. I actually think there is a real opportunity for the creative agencies. I don't know if there's any creative agencies in the room today, but this is a real moment to rethink how they're doing digital advertising in terms of what that creative looks and feels like, and work closer with the data to create that kind of really refined user experience, because that's the thing that we keep forgetting about, right? When we talk about what's going to happen to our targeting, what's happening to optimization and measurement, actually all of the changes that are coming into effect are to impact the user and ensure that the user has the right experience. And creative can play a should play and will play a really, really important part in that experience. And actually, for kind of brands, advertisers thinking about how they retain their existing clients, you'll sit on a wealth of first-party data that could be teamed with some impactful creative. But more importantly, when thinking about prospecting new customers, there's loads of different signals that we could be tapping into that we can kind of align with that creative messaging that's going to really influence that user experience. So no more 30-second TVC ad apps, please, because this is the moment where we can really take charge and drive forward with our creative. And the brands really nailing it at the moment are already thinking about how they tie data in with their creative strategy.
Totally agree. I think that also on that kind of creative side of things, we can start doing that feedback loop back to creative agencies. So be like, actually, you tried putting a postage stamp on the top left, and actually that did lead to more attention. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, that was a bit of a creative compromise, but actually it does pay off. So it's like giving them the kind of collateral to be able to have those conversations will be really helpful, I think.
Yeah. I had lots of great analogies of where there was one big FMCG business we worked with in cinema years and years ago, and they used to dub European shampoo adverts to put on the big screen in the UK, and then when they didn't work, cinema wasn't blamed. The creative wasn't blamed, cinema would have been blamed. And I think that creative accountability is really key going forward. And I think Orlando Wood, nearly said Bloom, wrote a book called Lemon and talked about how attention is derived from content that has character, incident or place. I'd argue that's why environments like our publishers work so well for driving attention, but also we should consider that with creative messages. I think government do that really well. It has a wealth of those kind of aspects to it. We've only got a minute. Flora, just interestingly, from a cross-media point of view, how important is it that these metrics, whatever they are, that we go forward with, are light touch, heavy touch, aligned with the way that other channels are?
Yeah, this is going to be a massive challenge, right? Let's be honest. We've got certain people coming out in the market, such as you guys, who are creating new digital metrics and ways of measuring attention. And then we're going to have other people doing the same but slightly different. And ultimately, it's our kind of responsibility, especially multimedia, to try and translate that all together. And I don't just want to do it for digital. I'm trying to do it for TV, cinema, radio, digital audio, podcasts, like everything which there is to plan from an agency perspective. We want to put attention towards it, but it has to be consistent. And that is going to be, frankly, impossible because digital, from what you guys want from a measurement perspective, you want to be able to optimize towards it. You want real-time information. And from an offline perspective, we won't have that. We will have panel-based stuff. So it's going to be a case of merging the two together and then working out how to do that, which is it's not going to be a short-term solution. This is going to take a while, but it is really exciting.
It requires us just to do something and then iterate.
Start is better than nothing, definitely. Yeah.
So finally then, Sophie, what should everybody here today going forward pay attention to the most?
So we were asked this question earlier, and Craig said the Euros. I would also I was going to say something media-based, but I'm going to be paying attention to the Euros on Sunday because I haven't really been a huge football fan, but I must say I am now paying attention now that we are going to hopefully bring it home.
I believe it is coming home, yeah. Flora?
I'm going to revert to the work-based. It's just easier because obviously everyone's very, very keen on Euros. But no, I think that pay attention to what's in the market, try new stuff, make sure that you're questioning it because ultimately you're optimizing towards something and you need to make sure that you're confident with what you're optimizing towards. So make sure it's iterative, make sure you're checking it, think about different things like sound on versus sound off, whatever it might be. And then, just try new things with attention.
Yeah, great. So sorry, we have to stop there, but thank you so much. It's been really, really good stuff. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone, and hopefully you really enjoyed the panel session. It was great to hear from a couple of our agency clients discussing discussing the need to embrace alternative measures of success. And while sadly Sophie's hope for England's success at the Euros didn't quite go our way, it was clear to see that the tournament as a whole caught the attention of the nation, which was fantastic. So for those who don't know me, I'm Emma Cranston and I head up the Ozone Client Services team. And one thing that really resonated with me during that session was the comment that it's the responsibility of media owners and agencies to lead on measurement initiatives, and the idea that taking the first step in an evolving process is better than waiting for the Holy Grail, which is quite a nice segue into a measurement initiative we're delighted to launch today. And it all centres around attention. Capturing consumer attention has always been a key driver of success for advertising campaigns. But what we've seen lately, largely thanks to measurement advances, is a renewed focus on identifying ways to optimise and measure campaigns with attention in mind. And this has come from a number of different camps. Nowhere is this more apparent than the Attention Council, a body incorporating major global and national advertisers such as British Gas, BT, Diageo, Mars, Microsoft and Tesco, just to name a few. They've proven that low clutter and high attention consumer-friendly experiences deliver the most effective impact for brands. And we've seen organisations such as Lumen, the kings and queens of attention, use their eye-tracking capability to understand more about attention paid to advertising. We've seen the likes of Dentsu and Ubiquity put attention at the front of their agenda over the past 12 months. Attention in digital advertising has been a key selling point for premium online environments like ours. The link between the high attention these channels receive and the impact on advertising performance has been clearly demonstrated through a number of landmark studies. Irrespective of methodology or the results, or whether it comes from Newsworks, Magnetic or IAB, the link is clear for us all to see. And it's not hard to understand why. Given the reader-first strategies of our publisher partners, capturing consumer attention has always been top priority for those websites. Translating this attention into advertising impact is a key component that the premium publishers armory. This connection plays out in results too. As evidence in independent findings from Lumen, we can see that advertising through Ozone platform receives an average of 49% more attention than the rest of the web. Pretty compelling, hey? It's this known attention impact that advertising has across our sites that has driven us to launch, drumroll please, the Ozone Attention Index. This is a bespoke measure of advertising engagement created by the Ozone team that will become a constant feature of all our campaign reporting going forward. Our index is the first step towards helping understand our clients better understanding the connection between campaigns in high attention environments and media impact. And what we're not trying to do is to launch our attention index to replace one lot of metrics with another lot of metrics. The KPIs set by our clients will always be what our campaigns are optimized towards and ultimately reported on. However, we want the index to provide new insights that prompt discussions with our clients, insights that are ultimately focused on and measures more aligned with consumer engagement. We're hopeful that in time, more customers will consider this as a measure for campaign planning or indeed optimization. We also know a number of industry-wide cross-media initiatives for attention measurement that will very much remain supportive of. Anyway, back to the here and now and the Ozone Attention Index. How did we get to this launch point today? And the short answer is a lot of consultation and corroboration. We consulted with almost 100 media leaders and practitioners on the creation of Ozone's Attention Index, plus the validity and usefulness of different metrics that it encompasses. As the principle of attention has been a long key component of Ozone's positioning, these conversations have been happening continuously, but we've really ramped them up over the past few months. In terms of cooperation, we took the combination of signals from digital advertising performance that also align with ways of optimizing reader attention for editorial-rich environments. In doing so, we believe we've created an index that works best for the way readers consume quality online content. The model behind Ozone Attention Index combines a number of metrics that are deemed important to both advertisers and publishers. In measuring engagement in premium environments, then we weighted these measures to create the Ozone Attention Index. And these measures include active view, the amount of time the user was on the page with a window in focus. This metric demonstrates that the user is active on the page, longer dwell time equals higher attention. Scroll rate, the percentage of impressions where the user has scrolled. The higher the scroll rate, the more engaged the user is. Screen real estate, the average percentage of pixels the ad fills on the user's screen. More pixels correlates directly to more attention. Obviously, it's really important to maintain the user experience without eating too much into the pixels on the screen though. And interaction and touch rate, when the user actively enters the frame of the advert, not necessarily click-through rate, and generally user's eye will follow where their cursor goes. This rationale thinking was confirmed when we asked the industry their opinion too, which was reassuring. There are a number of other component parts to the index, which we'll be covering off with you in depth at a later date. And this is our first iteration of our index, this is an ongoing dialogue with our customers, and it'll be essential for understanding what measures are having the most effect on our results, and will allow us to adapt our model accordingly. Now, one area I'm particularly excited about understanding more about is the link between the Ozone Attention Index and other measures of success. Craig will talk through the work we do around brand measurement in just a moment. But as a heads up, using historical data from brand metric surveys, we are seeing a positive link between higher scores for Ozone Attention Index and the higher shifts in brand and brand lift. And this is a link we're going to continue to monitor through live campaign performance. So watch this space for more to come. To end today's introduction to the Ozone Attention Index, I just want to leave you with this one note. Attention is something that we have to earn. The planning and creation of quality media environments is one part of the equation, but let's not forget the huge impact that creative have on consumers too. And that feels like a whole different subject and a whole different session, but definitely something we should be bearing in mind. So that's our whistle-stop tour of our latest initiative. Remember, we have launched the Ozone Attention Index to be a helpful and useful barometer on campaign performance to sit alongside your campaign KPIs. If you'd like to know more, we'd love to hear from you. So please reach out to any member of the Ozone team or to me directly on emma@ozoneproject.com. Craig, back to you to round up. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for that, Emma. And at the risk of sounding a bit like a parrot, I cannot emphasize enough how excited we are to be able to report the Ozone Attention Index on all of our campaigns moving forward. And actually, indeed, just this week, Nick Lawson, the global CEO of advertising agency MediaCom, which I'm sure all of you on this webinar will be familiar with, talked of a golden age for agencies, and that by working together with brands must focus on what advertising does best. And according to him, that's building attention and engagement to unleash growth. So as Emma says, we'd love your feedback and input as we iterate and develop that model that she's just taken you through. So we're nearly done. And while the launch of the Ozone Attention Index has been a key focus for today, there are a couple of other areas that we wanted to flag as part of our mission, really, to find better measurements for digital advertising as we move forward. You'll see from this slide that we've rather neatly fitted these into an ABC, and all of them will be featured in our white paper that will be available within the next couple of days for everybody here. So we've covered attention. Next up is brand, or as we've called it here, brand and balance. I'm not going to even try to pretend to steal any thunder from the experts like Bennett and Field, but we've all heard the ongoing industry discussions on the deployment of short-term versus long-term activity, or the performance versus brand debate. And ultimately, the key takeaway in all of this is that there needs to be some form of balance, and that balance will largely depend on what you're trying to achieve with your campaigns. However, the danger in all of that is that if you only have digital measures that indicate immediate short-term impact, like clicks and viewability, then you'll never have that balance. And this is why, as some of you may already know, Ozone has partnered with Brand Metrics practically since we launched to deliver independent brand studies on qualifying campaigns across our portfolio of sites. Now, to date, these studies have measured the brand lift across over 170 individual campaigns, irrespective of whether or not the original brief was to deliver brand effects. And what we have seen over that time is that on average, campaigns that run in Ozone Project's platform have delivered an 8 percentage point brand lift, which in itself is pretty impressive. We also did some further analysis of that brand lift, a figure that's made up of 4 component parts, really, in the shape of brand awareness, consideration, preference, and intent. We found that 63%, almost 2/3 of the impact of Ozone's combined brand impact is driving awareness and consideration scores. And time again, actually, for me personally, the campaigns that we've run on behalf of all of our clients, I would say increasing that consideration has really been the sweet spot as far as Ozone's platform's concerned. Now, and that's around 15% higher as a benchmark, as a performance, as a brand lift than the brand's metrics global benchmark. This has really reinforced what we already knew, that premium editorial environments like Ozone's can have a really positive effect in driving longer term brand measures. We believe that by sharing these alternative measures of campaign impact, more of our customers will appreciate the value of what quality media brands can deliver and consider their impact in campaign planning. Our final point, and the C, which stands for CPCV, that's cost per completed view, is really our way of highlighting what is Ozone Outcomes. Ozone Outcomes is our program of actionable measures designed to deliver the media results that impact the advertiser's business, importantly. We launched the first of these outcomes, our CPCV measure, with our brilliant test partner, Manning Gottlieb OMD, earlier this month. And prior to launching this test, we'd seen outstanding metrics delivered for advertiser campaigns to our premium-only video offering. Therefore, the ability to guarantee great performance on an outcome basis felt both desired and more than achievable. The results for this first test will be available later in the summer, but it's safe to say early on the campaign is performing extremely well, and I'm really excited to bring the first of our outcomes packages to market to a wider audience. For many buyers, media outcomes are the natural next step away, of course, from those increasingly outdated metrics like clicks and viewability. They allow our customers to align great media performance with their business goals. The reason why they work so well through the Ozone platform is thanks to our unrivaled scale across premium publisher environments. Scale, of course, being an absolute requirement when it comes to outcomes. This provides advertisers with the confidence to deliver the outcomes they need, but in trusted, brand safe, and frankly, high attention environments. What comes next for Ozone Outcomes will be driven, as most of the work that we do here at Ozone is, by customer demand, by your demand. In what has become a bit of a repeated mantra throughout this session, please do get in touch if you'd like to test, iterate, or indeed activate on an outcome basis with us. So that wraps up session number 2 in our Better Future series. We hope you found it both useful and informative. As mentioned up front, our white paper on this topic will be published early next week, and we'll make sure you all get first view of that content. I really appreciate the time you've spent with us today. So thanks again for joining us and for your continued support of the Ozone project. If you do need to get in touch, the easiest way is to drop me a line at craig@ozoneproject.com. But in the meantime, thanks again and enjoy the rest of your day.